Hi, we're not on the range today. We're at one of our training facilities, so who knows what kind of noise you might have to put up with. And I'm talking about a particular type of Remington ammunition today. Now I want to start with a little bit of a history lesson. For a long time, Remington ammo came in this green and yellow box, and you can still find this designation in typical rifle calibers like 30-30, 308, 30-06. But for handgun calibers, 9x19, 45 ACP, I have not seen the green and yellow box in a long time. If they're still making it, it's not available at any stores where I shop. The typical ammunition I see from Remington for handgun calibers is the green and white box. And some people will say it's a lower quality version of the green and yellow box, and there's some validity to that, but I find it to be a really good balance between price and performance. Now another type of ammunition that was made by Remington, and I'm sorry I don't have a box to show you, was in a yellow box with black lettering, and it was labeled UMC, Union Metallic Cartridge. And that was a less expensive alternative to the typical Remington ammunition, and the question comes up, was it a lower quality version? And the answer is, in my opinion, yes. I had a couple of guns that were ammo picky that would not shoot the UMC ammunition, but would shoot the regular ammunition just fine. And that brings up today's topic, as recently I'm seeing in the stores this ammunition. Now it has the word Remington on it, it's a green and white box, but it also carries the UMC designation. So the question comes up, is this a lower quality version of the typical green and white box? Well, I don't really have any ammo picky guns anymore, and I don't want to shoot 1,000 rounds of it to test that, but I am concerned with the power and accuracy of this ammunition. So let's shoot these two side by side and see how they compare. Now let's start with comparing velocity. I've got the chronograph set up at 7 yards. I'm using my Beretta 92FS, and I'm going to start with the Remington Green and White box 9x19 115 grain full metal jacket. $11.17. $11.47. $11.35. $11.35. $10.89. $11.33. And $11.40. Now let's see how that compares to the UMC. And now we'll try our UMC 9x19 115 grain full metal jacket, and we'll see how much, if any, difference there is. $11.30. $11.30. $11.47. $11.70. $11.33. $11.25. And $11.50. Now let's go crunch the numbers. Well, I crunched the numbers, and it comes with a caveat that chronographs don't always agree with each other, and certain environmental factors can affect chronograph results. But the results I got were, with the Remington Green and White box, a mean velocity of 1,125. With the UMC ammunition, a mean velocity of 1,140. 15 feet per second more. That's well within the variation of one round to the next, and certainly not a significant amount more. Let's try that drill again, but this time I'll use my Colt government model, caliber 45 ACP, and we'll use the Remington Green and White box 230 grain full metal jacket round nose. $826. $841. $842. $838. $829. $838. Now let's see how that compares to the UMC. And now our UMC 45 ACP, which is also a 230 grain full metal jacket round nose. $800. 840, 807, 774, 827, 810, and 822. Now let's go crunch those numbers. With the 45 in the Remington Green and White box, I got a mean velocity of 835 feet per second. With the UMC, I got 818, 17 feet per second less and well within the variation of one round to the next. Now let's compare these two for accuracy. I'll go back 15 yards and I'll shoot the target on your left with the UMC and the target on your right with the Remington Green and White box. And again, we'll start with the 9mm. Well, if there's any difference between the two, it isn't much. Any variation you see here is me far more than it is the ammunition. Now I'll paste up these shot holes and try the same thing with the 45. Now in shooting the 45, we knocked off a couple of the pasties that were covering 9mm holes. But in this case, with the exception of one flyer, it looks like the Remington Green and White box is more accurate than the UMC ammunition. However, two things. One, this level of accuracy is certainly acceptable for just off-the-shelf ammunition. And two, the variation you see has a lot more to do with me than it does with the ammo. So what's the takeaway from all of this? A couple of things. First, although I'm sure some people will disagree with me, in my opinion, the yellow box with the black writing UMC ammunition was of inferior quality to your typical Remington ammo. But as far as comparing Remington Green and White box to Remington Green and White box UMC ammunition, based on the results here today, I'd say there isn't any difference. And if there is a difference, it's not enough to make a difference. So, as always, don't try this at home. I'm what you call a professional, and thanks for watching the Remington Green and White box versus Remington Green and White box UMC video.